Hello and welcome back, and today we're going to be playing Five of a Kind. Of course, if you're not realizing this, this is of course another Sudoku puzzle, despite the poker scene that you see ahead of you here. Now, I did a little bit of reading about Five of a Kind, and supposedly it's a valid poker hand game, particularly if you play online where you're actually allowed to have wild cards, for example, or bonus cards. So that's kind of what the picture is meant to show here, is that Sleuth, despite the very rough surrounding around him, there's a bunch of thugs that look like they want to murder him for winning, is about to serve them a five of a kind and obviously win the game. Supposedly that hand is actually even better than a royal flush, and I can understand that. You're getting four of a kind plus a wild card to actually create five of the same card. Now, just before we take a look at today's puzzle, just really a special thanks for the constructor. So, Kennet's dad is the constructor of today's puzzle. And if you look him up on Logic Masters Germany, and I do encourage you to, I'll actually leave a link to his profile down below. Like, his puzzles are stunningly rated. You know, there's 100% rating, 98% rating, 99% rating. It's absolutely fantastic. But one thing that I'll just caution you about is his puzzles are generally quite on the hard side. So they're 4 stars, 5-star difficulty rated puzzles. He was kind enough though to offer up what he believes is a 2-star difficulty rated puzzle. We are the first to play it. Let's take a look at today's game. So, rule set wise, so Kennet's dad was kind enough to just put up front all of the various rules. If you're familiar with these rules, you can just skip ahead to the solve if you need a bit of a hand. Essentially, it's normal Sudoku rules, of course: anti-knight, anti-king, killer cages, and little killer. Now, just a quick reminder of all of these, if in case you're not familiar. So, normal Sudoku rules, fairly obvious: place the digits 1 to 9 once each in every row, in every column, and in every 3x3 box. Then we have digits in cells and knights move apart in chess must not repeat. So imagine that this cell here is a 5. So not only can none of these in the same box, the same row, the same column not be a 5, any cell that is a knight's move away, and just a reminder of chess knight's move, it's essentially 2 steps forward, 1 step to the side, you get this classic L shape. So none of these now are allowed to have a 5, and it can be extremely powerful. However, it's not just that this is an anti-knight one, it's also an anti-king. So if you imagine that this 5 here was actually on the edge, well, a king is allowed to move essentially to any of the adjacent cells, including the diagonals. So none of these now are allowed to be 5s, none of these, which are the knight's move. And you can see suddenly just how immensely powerful this combination of rule set can possibly be. This entirety of this block cannot be a 5. What else do we have? So digits along a marked diagonal must sum to the number given outside the grid. There is only one of these. You can see that this 4 is pointing at this diagonal of 2 cells. These 2 cells need to come up to 4. I'm not going to even try and use some examples. It will start the solve. Lastly, we have digits in a cage must sum to the number given. There's no mention of it being unique digits, but obviously all of the cages are in the same box, so we know they have to be unique. So if you imagine that this cell here is a 2, this cell would have to be 3 to make sure that these 2 cells on aggregate sum up to a 5. You've got 10, 5, loads of 5s actually, which I imagine is part of the solution path. So, only thing left to say before I start trying to solve this is, well, if you want to play along, if you don't mind getting into that den of thugs and figuring out how to play a 5 of a kind, link will be in the description down below as usual for you to play along. And with that said, I'm going to restart the clock and see how I get on. Wish me luck. So the most obvious place for me to start is up here. This is 1 or 3. Well, not 1 or 3, 1 and 3. That's the only way you can get to 4 in 2 cells that have to be unique. Of course, if this was across, for example, a box, can't even do that because of anti-king move here, but you could of course have a double 2, but these 2 have to be different. And I can already see that I'm going to do a lot of coloring today. maybe not 5 of a kind coloring, but at least, yeah, 4 of a kind color to start. So let me show you what I mean by this. The cool thing about 5s is they can only be done in one of two ways, essentially either 1-4 or 2-3. When you see that these 1 and 3, however, they're different, so I colored them separately. However, both of these see the cell. So it's not 1 or 3. This can only be 2 or 4. And of course, it needs a 1-3. If that's a 2, it would need a 3. If that's a 4, it would need a 1 for it to be able to add up to 5. And we're often racing. This has to be a, well, I say often racing. We're a minute in and we haven't placed any digits. Let's go with yellow for this one. And you can see both, you can see that purple and yellow make up a 5. This 5 here cannot be purple or yellow, therefore it's going to be blue or green. This green here means this has to be purple yellow. Sorry, I'm just taking it all in a bit. Purple, you can actually put in box 7. Just purples, you can see they're not in columns 1 and 2 in box 7. Can't be inside a 14 cage. If that's a 1, that would be 13. If that's a 3, that would be 11. Neither of which is possible. That's purple, and that's the other 1-3. And purple now in box 2. It's in one of 2 cells. So this feels like a bit of an odd choice, but this cannot be purple, because regardless of which one is purple, it will either see it with a king's move, or it would see it with a knight move. So neither of these can be 1 or 3, so it's one of 2 cells. Sadly, it is one of 2 cells. I can't see what else it can be. I can see, however, in box 5 is quite limited. So king move, knight move. Whenever you have a domino, obviously in here, regardless of which one is the purple, this cell can't be a purple because it can see both of them either with normal Sudoku or with knight move. And this cell here means that is also not purple. So purple is in one of 2 cells. If I use that a bit further, again, king move, knight move, that's purple. Purple in box 6, can't be either of these, can't be either of these. It's in one of 2 cells, and I probably need to start thinking about other colors for a second, because if that's purple, that would have to be yellow. We know that from what we established earlier. Just in case you can't exactly follow this, if this was purple, it can see both with classic Sudoku and king move. So same is true for the other way around. So the 2 dominoes next to it, the domino that's right next to it can't be purple. And then we've already covered the example with the knight move. So this would see it with normal Sudoku, this would see it with knight move. So neither of these nor these could be purple. And then I think what this is now saying is purple has to be in here. Maybe we don't actually need another color to place all of the purples. You can see it, of course, because we had that set up in here. That means none of these, and just classic Sudoku, none of these. Knight move is inside the 7, which is actually quite helpful, because depending on the color of this thing, we already know. Hang on, sorry, just before I finish that thought. I'm fairly sure the answer is purple is 1. And I'll explain that in a second, but let me just run with this for a second. Not a knight move apart. Therefore, this is the 1-3. No, classic Sudoku. This is the 1-3. And I think we've... No, that's not true. That's not purple. Therefore, that's not yellow. That purple here means that's not purple. Knight move away. All of these are 1-3s, and I'm pretty sure they are all 1s. Have we got 9 of them? Yes. Right, let me explain my thinking here. So imagine that this is a 3. That would make this a 4. And that would become a bit of a challenge, and I'll show you why. Because essentially that would be 3, that would mean yellow is 2. And these down here have to be 1, 4, breaking the cell. So the fact that this is neither blue nor green, and obviously it can't be yellow, otherwise it would add up to 5, means it has to be something outside of the list of 1, 2, 3, 4. So that is 6, and now purple is 1, green is 3, that's 2, 3, these are 4s, and we have digits at minute 6. When you think about a 10, you always need a low digit. It is not 1, 3, or 4. This is 2 or 8. You can see the 2s are lining up now. The only place for a 2 in box 4, well, it can't be any of these cells because of these pairs of 2s. 2 is restricted to this left-hand column. I'm sure we can do better than this. Let me just have a think. 4 is in one of 2 cells. This is obviously now 2, 3 now that we're placed with the 4s. So this is 2, 3. That is looking at cross at this 2. That's a 2. Doesn't actually help me with my 2, 3s here. That's okay. None of these are 2. There's a 2 up there. Again, either king move or knight move, so no 2s here. 2 in any of this spot would actually invalidate and break box 5. This 2 would see all of these with king's move. This 2 would see this with classic, king move, and knight move. So no 2s here in box 2, just because of this setup. And then this can't work for the same reasons. This is the only place for a 2. 2s now in box 3 can only be in one of 3 cells on the bottom row. Yeah. In fact, 2 and 3 are down here. Let me just show you again. That would be knight move, king move, knight move for this cell. Classic Sudoku, king move. Classic Sudoku, king move. Classic Sudoku, knight move. So 2s and 3s cannot be in any of these cells, and therefore they're restricted down here, which puts 2 and 3 up there. Pretty sure this can be neither. Again, king move, knight move, so that's not the case. This is a 2-3 pair. My guess is no, this could be the same as this cell, so no. I should be able to do better. I mean, I can see that these are related by knight's moves. But it's not quite enough. I really need to be able to sort of differentiate some of these cells, which I'll aim to do in a moment. Where am I going wrong? I should be able to place more of these. So if I think about 4s actually just in this box, can't be inside the 14 cage, otherwise I would need a 10 to go with it. This can't be a 4, just classic Sudoku. 4 is restricted to this side, which actually means that's not a 4, that is a 4. 4 now, and here, yeah, that's knight move, that's the 4. 4, you can see all of these can't be 4. And again, a bit tricky, but once you're on the side here with king move and knight move, all of these can be seen with king move. This can be seen with classic, knight move, that's the only place for a 4. Now, 4s are restricted. You can see this is just normal Sudoku. That's the only place for a 4. And 4 now is restricted to one of 3 places on this row. 4 in here is one of 2 places. Right, 3. Let's just have a think. It's one of 3 places in there. Right, here is something. So we've already placed these 2 3s, but none of these can be 3. Again, it would have been classic or anti-knight, even if you haven't necessarily placed this 2-3 pair. This can't be a 3. You can see it either with classic or king. This can't be a 3. You can see it with classic, king, and knight move. So if you think about column 4, where can 3 go? Classic Sudoku. It's only in not one of 2 places, it's just the one spot. That's the 3. These can't be 3s anymore. 3 joins the 2 in here. Where can 3 go in box 5? It's actually quite restricted. So these 2, again, it can see this with classic and king, classic and knight, classic and knight. 3 is in one of 2 places in here. That can't be a 3. I feel like I've done this the hard way. Why am I really struggling to place down some of these? Let me just think about it. Am I just being colorblind? Yes, the 2's line up between boxes 2 and box 8. So none of these can be 2. That's a 2. Which is sadly not enough to actually help here. None of these are 2's. The fact that this is now a 3 means this is 5 and there's no 4. So no 1, 2, 3, or 4 inside the 18 cage. This is forced to be 5, 6, 7. But I really want to see how far I can take all the 3's before I branch out, so to speak. So this 3 here, king move, knight move, that can't be a 3. The 3's are lining up, which means no 3's here. That's a 3. That's a 2. That's a 3. That's knight move away. That's a 3. That's a 2. That's not a 2. Neither. That's the 3. That's my 3. Is that all the 3's done? Almost. 3 here gives me 2, gives me 3, gives me 8, gives me 2. I seem to be struggling with finishing the 2's though for some reason. No, I'm not. That's the 2 up here. Just classic Sudoku. The 2's, yep, that 2 here, that means that's not the 2, that is the 2, that's not the 2, that is the 2, that's all the 2's also done. So it's only the 3 that's left here. That 3 tells me, I think that's all of them. That is 9 3's. So 4's I can see almost, but not quite. So I'm reasonably happy now to start thinking about branching out and taking a look at other numbers, such as the 5, 6, 7 that I mentioned earlier. That's the only way now to do 18 in 3 cells, given 1, 2, 3, and 4 are not available. This is 8 or 9. 8 in box 4 is one of 3 cells. 6 is one of 2 cells. This is a 5, 9, 14 cage. So if you take a look at this 8, it sees this cell, but it also sees both 6's. Whichever one is the option, it sees it either with classic Sudoku or knight Sudoku. So that's not 6 or 8. This is a 5, 9. And neither of these are 8. Again, if this is an 8, it would see all of these 3 cells. If this is 8, it would see all of these 3 cells. So 8 is restricted to one of 2 cells in here. It would have been lovely if it was a 4-8 pair, but not quite. 8, obviously, the fact that now they're on the left-hand side, that's not an 8. Both 8s see this 8, 9. That's a 9. That's an 8. Ooh, yep, that's 8. That's 8. I think we can almost finish the 8s. Yes, we can. We can. No, famous last words. We've got 8 again here. They do line up. So that's my 8. That's my 6. These are 5 sevens. That can't be the 5. It would see both of the 5 nines. So that's the 7. That's the 5. Come on. What else do I need to do? 9 in column 3 can't be either of these. That's king's moves away. That's knight move away. That's a 9. That's a 5. These are 5, 6, 7s. That's not a 7. No, there must be easier things to pursue just yet. Let me keep looking. This is 5 or 9. It's not 9. So yeah, this is 4, 5, 9. That's 9. That's not 9. That's a 5. None of these are 5 now. That's a 5. That's 6, 7. That has to be 9. These are also 6, 7 again. This is 5, 6, 7. This can't be 6 or 7. It can see both options with normal Sudoku and knight move. So that has to be the 5. These are a 6, 7 pair. That's a 6, 7 pair that line up. That's 5, 9. That's a 5 with knight move. That's 9. That's 5. That's another 6, 7. Same thing. It's in the same box and a knight move away. That can't be 6 or 7. So my and 9. So I think this has to be my 8. Yeah, because I need a 6, 7 pair. No, hang on. I need a 9 and a 6, 7. And the 9, it sees both of these. That's the 9. And yep, that sees both 6, 7 choices. So that's the 8. That's 6, 7. Now this 6, 7 can't be any of these cells. It has to be all the way down here, tucked away. So therefore that's the 8, that's the 4, that's the other 6, 7. Am I going to need to color these? No. That 6 gives me everything. That's 7, 6, 7, 6, 7, 6, 6, 7. That is knight's move, 7, 6. This is 4, 9. That can't be the 9, just classic Sudoku. That's 4, that's 9. From the 4s, all of these are gone. That's the only place for a 4. That leaves this as an 8. This is 5, 9, and 7. And this is the 7 because it can see 9, king move, 5, knight move. That's 9. Sorry, that's 7. That's 5. Otherwise, knight move would be a 9, anti-9, anti-knight. 9. This is a lovely puzzle. Kennet. Well, Kennet's dad. 5, 9 here. Well, that can't be 5. That's 9. That's 5. I need 7. Well, it can't be knight's move away. So that's the 7. That's the 9. That's the 6. In here, I need a 7. And if I've not made any mistake, that's the 5 for the finish. What a phenomenal puzzle. Kennet's dad, thank you so much for sharing this with us. It's a beautiful puzzle for sure. I really, really enjoy kind of the fusion of anti-knight and anti-king when they come together. It just allows you to do some very interesting puzzles where you just think, how on earth do you solve this? And voila, yes, you can. Not quite 5 of a kind, and I would agree with the difficulty rating that this is probably around the 2, kind of maybe even on the border between 1 and 2. Hope that you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know down in the comments. I certainly enjoyed it, so my plan would be to feature more of Kennet's dad's more approachable puzzles. And if you guys agree, well, I'll make sure that I feature a few more of them. I will try and find maybe anti-king, because it's quite common whenever the anti-king rule set is featured that there will be others that also use anti-knight together. So stick around and look at that anti-king playlist. Bye-bye for now.